Let's talk about empathy. Empathy is a leadership quality, but I think a lot of times empathy gets confused with sympathy. They are not the same things. So what does it mean to be empathetic? Because every true leader is empathetic with their people. They feel what they're feeling. They try their best to be mindful and understand what they're going through. And remember this, if you ever want to move somebody off of where they are, you have to meet them where they're at. That takes empathy, okay? To strive to be empathetic, to have the desire to be empathetic is a mindset. To truly be empathetic is a heart set, and leadership springs from the heart. To consciously strive to be empathetic is a mindset, but to truly be empathetic is a heart set. I want you to remember that. You have to know what empathy is, want to be empathetic, and then to truly strive to be empathetic. Personal example. The female soldier in there is my friend Susie. Susie was one of our counter-intel advisors on that trip. And the Taliban, a lot of times, they like to work from home. You know, they like to telecommute too. They like to plan operations in their house, okay? We're in villages a lot. In that culture and in that society, women, due to the culture, they're in the house constantly. They never leave the house. So when the Taliban are in the houses planning these meetings, planning these operations, it's always within the earshot of a woman. Sometimes the woman of the house doesn't agree with what's going on. And maybe she wants to let somebody know, but she has no venue to do it, all right? And culturally, me as an American, as a man, when I go into a village, I can in no way, shape, or form have any type of communications with an Afghan female, all right? Even an Afghan male soldier can't do it. That is completely taboo. They will fight you. They may like you, but if you walk up and talk to somebody's wife without permission, they may say, you know what? I like you, but since you did that, now I got to kill you. You forced my hand. It's hard to get your head around, but that's how things are over there, especially in some of the Pashtun villages. I would take Susie with me. While I was off doing other things, Susie would take a female interpreter and just walk around, talk to the kids, get a good connection with the kids. Eventually, she would be invited to a couple houses. This would happen over time. She'd build a rapport with some of the Afghan women that were in these villages. And these women started to open up to her. We got a lot of good information off of those visits. But they would have not have said one word to Susie if Susie wasn't a truly empathetic human being. She was empathetic to their plight. She was empathetic to their situations. And because she was genuine, even through a translator, they're very good at reading people. Even working through a translator, they could tell that she was genuine and that she felt for them. And as a result, they opened up to her. That would not have happened had Susie not exhibited the characteristics of empathy, which is a leadership trait. Because as leaders, you have to be in touch with your people. And to be in touch with your people, you have to be empathetic to what they're going through at that point in time. And something that we always try to keep in mind is, you never know what each other's going through. You never know what your coworker, your colleague, or your employee is going through. It could be that coming to work is the best part of their day, and they're just not letting you onto that. So if you can make work a truly good place to be, a truly joyful place to be, they'll move mountains for you. And that's creating a sense of community, or a sense of tribe, if you will, and people will do anything to protect their tribe. Empathy is a crucial element to developing that sense of trust. Leaders encourage the heart. Anybody who's read The Leadership Challenge by Kuzis and Posner is going to remember this, right? This is the 5th step of leadership. Leaders encourage the heart constantly, because our leaders need it most when everything is running like a well-oiled machine, or are people really looking for their leader when times get rugged? When times get rugged, sweat comes out, chins start to dip, breathing gets rapid. That's when leaders are really sought after. And if you want to see who is really looked upon as a leader, think about times back in your professional career when things really did get rugged, maybe dangerous, and who did your colleagues look to for guidance and direction? Because it's not always the person that's in the appointed leadership slot, but it is always a person who exhibits leadership traits. regardless of what their rank or position is. But all throughout that, leaders encourage the heart because times will get rugged, especially in this business that we are in an asymmetric war. Leaders stay passionate and irrepressible for the team. Leaders display an indomitable spirit. Because when the chips are down, people need that beacon of light to rally them and show them the way and stiffen spines. Recognition matters, which is part of encourage the heart. Personal example, this is yours truly cooking some Afghan goat palau in our little tri-house, cooking for the guys. Okay, we were coming after a mission, grabbed some goat on the way in. We had a house, I had a little cook set I kept in the back of the Ford Ranger, cut up some food. Now, we had Afghans with us who could cook way better than me. But because I cooked it, and in that culture, leaders do not cook. But I wanted to show them that I cared about them. I wanted to, season it with a little bit of love. It went a long way to encourage in the heart, okay? Not the best cook in the world. It wasn't the tastiest food, but they greatly appreciated the fact that I would take time out of a busy mission set to cook for them and serve them in a true selfless way. Another thing that we would do for recognition is after missions, we would come in. Afghans are a oral history people. They have songs that commemorate battles that happened generations ago. And if the new battle goes well, they'll make up a new song. So sometimes after battle, for the American infantrymen that we had with us, we would ask our Afghan colleagues to treat them to a song for them, regaling the battle, how brave they were, and the guys absolutely loved it. A cappella song, sometimes a little bit of tablas, which is a drum in the background. And it moved me. And I realized something then, something very unique about the human voice. And I never thought about this until that point. Did you realize that the human voice is the only instrument that can carry both a melody and a conscious stream of thought at the same time? No other instrument can do that. So as a way to encourage the heart and show recognition, after some missions, we would use songs, right? And it went a long way. For those of you that have been in the Blue Courage course, I've shared this story before, but for those of you who haven't, I want to talk about someone who truly encourages my heart. When I think about positivity, when I think about encouraging the heart, I think about my friend right here who's in the wheelchair, Parker. I spent 3 years at Brooke Army Medical Center recovering from wounds. When I was in the hospital phase, like all hospitals, they have a family room with coffee and magazines that are 5 years old, and that's where families can hang out when they want to get a break from the room. I was in an electronic wheelchair at the time, and I was in my bed resting, and my dad comes in with his cup of coffee, and he says, "Son, you won't believe this." He goes, "I just met the parents of a soldier who just brought in. Oh my God, son, this poor guy, you won't believe this. Son, he's 21, he stepped on a landmine, he lost both legs, he lost one of his arms, and that's not all he lost. He lost something that's very important to a 21-year-old fighter. And he's never going to have his own children. You get what I'm saying?" I said, "Yeah, Dad, I get what you're saying." He said, "Son, maybe they can put you in your electric wheelchair. You can go down there and cheer this guy up because you're older. You're further along in your progress. You can go down there and lift up his spirits." I said, "Okay, I'll do that." Call for the nurse. The nurse came and put me in my electric wheelchair. Wheeled down the hall. It's the peak of fighting season, right? There's 2 fighting seasons. This is the peak of one of the fighting seasons, so every bed's full of a guy or a female who's been shot up, blown up. I go down to his room. I look, am I in the right room? It's busy. I can just sense this activity coming out of there. I pull into the room, and through all the nurses, I can see Parker propped up in bed with all these nurses around him, and he is just holding court. He's got them rolling. He's got them laughing. He's saying things like, "Hey, when I get my legs, I'm taking you dancing. But don't worry, I'll come back. I'm taking you dancing too." He's got them rolling. He sees me edging my way in my electronic wheelchair. He looks up and says, "Hey, brother," something to the effect of, "Come on in and feel the sunshine," or something like that. But that's how he was. 21-year-old private, encouraging the heart, had every reason to lay down and quit. I got really close with this young man, really close with him. This is a picture of us at the range. When I got up mobile and I could move around, I take him out shooting. All of his shooting, one-handed, right? One-hand manipulation. Had his little holster underneath one of his stumps. Awesome guy. He never let anything get him down. Still encouraging the heart to this day. Every reason not to. A lot of people would be tempted to look at the hand that they were dealt on that day, wake up with 2 stumps, no arm, and missing something else. A lot of people would have simply quit at that point. Parker never did. Over the course of many conversations, I asked him one day, in fact, maybe it was the day this picture was taken. I said, Parker, what is it? I'm like, you are indomitable. You can't be stopped. What is it? What is it within you? Because I want that. And he wasn't an overtly religious or spiritual person, but he said, all I know is every doctor tells me that I should have been killed. I should have never woken up, yet here I am. All I know is that there is something out there for me. God has something intended for me, and my next mission is to find it. And while I find it, I'm going to be as joyful as possible. I walked away from that with my mind blown. I said, where do we get people like this? Encouraging the heart. He is not in a formal leadership position. The word leader, manager, supervisor did not appear in his summary of job duties. But he exhibits those traits of leadership. He exhibits true excellence. And as a result, he is magnetic. You will never see him by himself because people are simply drawn to him. People are drawn to good leaders. People want to be led by good leaders. Asymmetric leadership is about exhibiting those traits and characteristics no matter what your job duty or description say. Doing it the best that you can and exhibiting those traits from within. To recap, leadership can be a choice. You are free to make these decisions. Joan of Arc made it. Illiterate farm girl. Audie Murphy, born into a poor sharecropper's family, dropped out of school in 5th grade to pick cotton for $1 a day. Araminta Ross, a.k.a. Harriet Tubman, born as somebody's personal property. And all those boat captains on the 9/11 boat lift. Born into circumstances that were well below what most people in this room were born into. But because they made the conscious decision to exhibit the true traits of leadership asymmetrically, because they were not placed in a position to do so, their names will ring throughout history. Here's some resources, and if you want to learn more, I encourage you to delve into these. The Leadership Challenge by Kouzes and Posner. Servant Leadership by Robert Greenleaf. A lot of what I'm talking about stems from servant leadership. When I think of asymmetric leadership, I think about it as servant leadership with a bias towards action. Primal leadership. Goldman, Boyzowskis, and McKee, Start with Why. And of course, something that we run here, the Blue Courage course. I'm David Lau, and thank you for joining FLETC Talks.